Hello YouTube, this is Adam with Atomic Bushcraft, and today we're going to be making an alcohol stove. It can also be used as a heater, but this can also be used for boiling water or as a heater emergency. And they're great for just taking camping or for a bug out bag. First off, our supplies we're going to need two sodas, two soda cans. I got two empty Pepsi cans here. These will be our main base on it. I have a bandana here. This is an old bandana I've had and used for several years. I recently got some new ones. And this will be, we're using this, one last use is going to go inside the stove. I have a multi-tool here, but any needle nose pliers will work. That's all we're going to use it for. You need a penny. It has to be from the year 1982 or earlier, because at that time they changed the metal composition of them and added more zinc. And zinc has a lower melting point and can end up melting on your stove, and you want to avoid that. You'll want a push pin or thumbtack or a small nail. I'm here on a refrigerator, I'm going to keep track of them, but these are your punch holes with. A light hammer, that one's optional, but because you can push it through with your fingers, the hammer makes it easier. I have a small knife and some small pliers. These are also optional. These are just going to be for making anything a little bit easier. For your fuel, you can use heat or most menthol alcohols. This one's actually isopropyl alcohol, 91%. If you use isopropyl alcohol, you want 91% or higher. You'll need some scissors. I got some scissors here. And you can use a block of wood. I have pasta box. I'm going to be using this here in just a second. So, let's go ahead and get started. You can use a Sharpie for this, but since I already have a push pin, I'm going to use that. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this box, and it's just going to be a guide. That's all we're using it for here. I'm going to set the pin on it, and you went to the bottom of the can over here. You're going to put it on there, and you're just going to score the can with the thumbtack. So you can do the exact same thing with a Sharpie. I also like getting a nice, clean, thin line. That's why I use a thumbtack for scoring here. I want to make sure you can see the line afterwards too, because you want this line to be as level as possible, going all the way across. You can use any drink can. You can use these soda cans. If you want something maybe a little bit more sturdy, the taller cans I use for the Arizona tea or Monster energy drinks, or most energy drinks, the taller, thick ones. A lot of times those are built with a thicker aluminum, and you can use that in place of the just regular soda cans. Make sure you mark both lines at the same height on both cans. Alright, got a nice clean line we can see and follow. So we're done with this box, we won't need that anymore. And we're going to take one of our cans, and we're going to punch some holes in it. I've already got one little hole started on the top here. And what you want to do is just take your thumbtack or your nail and just punch a hole in there, wiggle around, give some space. And then you got one hole here, I'm going to put one on each side, and one on top and one on bottom, giving it 5 holes. And it doesn't have to be super precise, and I can do this with just pushing it through, but to help kind of make it more clean, I'm just going to take my hammer and give it a light tap to pop it through. There. And there. Push it through, make sure the holes are wide enough. So those are our first 3. Then we add one on each side too. Gives a total of 5 holes. Slide in there and give it a tap. Alright. And the best thing about this project is all the materials are usually pretty cheap. You know, soda cans, even if you don't drink soda or anything that comes in a can, you can always just stop by a friend does. Or a neighbor or say, hey, I have a couple of extra cans. It's a bit of recycling. You're not having to, go out and buy an extra stove, not extra metal being made for it. You got little 5 holes there. I'm going to take, I have a little nail head a little bit thicker to try and open up that middle hole just a little bit more. Because what this is going to be is where we fill in our alcohol. And with the, have plenty of room to go in there easily. So just going to put it in there. And that's kind of what we're looking at here. And next, we'll need several holes along the top. Because these are just where it's going to fill in, but you want to have the flame coming out around here. And what I usually is just line up here, just kind of push your pin in, and it'll actually settle right on that line. That's exactly where you want it. You just give it a push. It'll pop right through. It may dent the can just a little bit, but that's okay, as long as it's not a major crushing or anything like that. And just right across on the same side, you do another hole. And we're going to do that across, then we're going to do across here, that was 4. Then we're going to go in between those and do another one, that'll give us 8. Then we go all between all of those and get a total of 16 holes. And the effect we'll be going for at the end of it will look similar to a gas stove you'd find at home, where the flames come out all around it. And you use it for cooking or camping the exact same way. So we have 4 holes, and you just want to find about the middle. This isn't something you have to be super precise on. If you're a little bit off, a little bit too close to one side, it won't make a difference in the end. And then we have you can see we have 8 holes spaced around the top here. And some of them are a bit close to others, not exact, but it doesn't need to be exact. That's the best thing about this. And you just go in between these other holes, about midway, add another hole. And that gives us a total of 16 holes spaced around through there. Like I said, you can see there that it's not all exactly spaced out perfectly. Doesn't need to be. Alright. Next part is we're going to cut our cans on those lines we had earlier. Now, you want to be very careful with this part because the aluminum can be sharp and cut you. Just to get started, I'm going to just poke a hole with a knife at the top. So I get my scissors in. And the way I like to do this is I like to just get my scissors into the hole and just kind of cut down to the general area. I'm not cutting on the line, I'm just cutting close to it so that I can come in and it's a bit easier to get the exact line later. It's not very clean, but hopefully that'll be usable for us. Let me get these shavings out of the way. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other can. This one will have no holes in the bottom. Make sure there is no holes in the bottom of this can, because this will be our base that the other one's going to go on top. Now the scissors didn't give me as clean as the edges I was hoping for. Alright, I got some 155 grit sandpaper here. And so what we're left with is a top and a bottom. I see the edges aren't perfectly clean. And the issue is, like I said before, that these are the same size. So in order to get them to fill in, I'm going to take the bottom of the can, and I'm going to take my needle nose pliers. I'm going to just try and grab at the same point every time, find a spot, and just give it a twist. It's going to do that as you go through. It's going to tweak the can slightly, as you can see. And just want to give it a good grip about the same time every time. And it's going to deform the can a bit. But once you get all the way around, you get an interesting effect, a bit of a zigzag. What it's going to let you do is let the cans slide together. But first, we have this bandana. Like I said, this is an old bandana I've had for several years. It's got some holes in it, some stains. And we're gonna want to put something in here. Some people like to use pipe insulation, the soft, fluffy kind that's similar to the wall insulation. You can use that. You can use any kind of cotton cloth. And basically, the whole point, the only thing this is going to do in there is hold some volume in there so that when our alcohol is in here, it's not just running slosh. So if we were to knock this over, say, with a pan, our alcohol isn't all liquid, just going to splash out everywhere. It's going to be held in by the cloth, basically acting as a big wick. Now, this is obviously a bit big, so we're going to cut a chunk out of it. And if you look, you can see this isn't full like an American flag. It's got an American flag type design on it. So we're not desecrating a flag doing this. We're just cutting off a chunk of a bandana. And this is just one of the many, many uses you can have for a bandana out. And when you're camping or hunting, anyone will tell you a bandana has 1,000 uses, and this is just a good part of it. And see, it's got, I could probably pack more, but I'm not going to because I just need enough to really wick it in. Now what we're going to do is put our two ends together, because that's crimp that's going to catch it. And some of my ends aren't very neat, so they're catching a little, so I just got to go and make sure everything's tucked in. And it's just going to slide together like this. And what you end up with, you want to be careful pushing this through, because if I have my thumb here, this edge is pretty sharp, and this is going to overlap a bit, and you can cut yourself. So a good way of doing it is to sit on a table and press down. If you have a block of wood instead of the pasta box I used earlier, you can set the block of wood on top to use a hammer and kind of hammer it down a bit. But I'm just going to try and push it like this. Take my hammer and give it some light taps. Because you don't want to dent the can, because you may have a powder something on top. And you want to get down, make sure it's nice and level. You kind of rotate it like this, and you can see as much overlap, so you can see how badly I cut it. I didn't do a very clean job there, but in this case, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. I'm going to push this down. I'm going to take some of this extra bandana cloth to kind of set on top of it to hammer it down to make sure it's as far down as it can go. And you have this overhang. What you want to do with that is you can take your thumb and just kind of run it over, kind of tuck that in, and that's gonna seal in that edge. Some people like to go an extra step here and get a sealant, like a silicone-based seal, caulk, something along those lines, and they fill it in here. You don't have to do that. If you want to make a single can that's going to last a long time, you can. But the fact is, these are made from aluminum cans. You can make a ton of these. So, and getting this plastic to make another one isn't that big a deal, and you're not investing a whole lot of time and money. So you don't necessarily need to do that. I'm going to take my knife here. I got a good hard butt on my knife. I'm just going to use that to make sure this is smoothed over all the way. I may go through with sandpaper and clean up these edges a bit more afterwards down here at the bottom. So if I'm handling this, it's not going to cut me, or if I have my bag, it's not going to cut anything in my bag. Alright. We got a nice little bottom there. And next we're going to fill it and prime it. I'm going to use a plate for this step because it is some alcohol may spill out and I don't want to burn my table here. I got a big old jug of isopropyl alcohol, 91%. You use 91% or more because the higher the percentage just means the more pure the alcohol is, and you want the more pure alcohol because that will give us a better burn. The less pure the alcohol is, the more burn you're going to see that's got more carbon. It won't burn as hot, and it can also release more things like carbon dioxide, which can be toxic if you need to use inside for a bug-in situation. You just keep pouring it in there, and you just pour it on top, and it makes a nice little bowl that just holds that liquid perfect, and it just drips right down in there. And like I said, you can use heat for this. There's several different fuels. I just like to use the isopropyl alcohol because there is already lots of uses I can have for this around the house. So I can have this and it won't necessarily go to waste. I don't need to use heat in my car because we live in a fairly warm area, so whereas I can use this day to day or for medical emergency, it's better to have alcohol. But if you use heat a lot and you have lots of it and you can spare some, use it. It makes a great fill. We're basically going to keep filling this until we have a little puddle just like this inside where no more is dripping down into that. That means it is completely filled up. It has as much as it can take. You want to let it sit for just a second. Let some of that drop off. Still the puddle. It's going in slowly, but it's evaporating off at the same time. You want to light the whole thing off. And this is what. And you want to have alcohol around the bottom of it, because what that's going to do is basically you're priming the can right now, and that's going to seal up the whole thing. So all this heat is making that bottom of it seal up. I spilled a little bit more than I needed to, but there we go. You can hear the can pushing air out. You can see, you probably won't show very well in the video, you can see some flames and liquid coming out of the holes on top there. Try to get the bottom of that out a little bit. That's going to burn off, and we should be left with just the stove burning. And the alcohol on the plate's burning off pretty quickly. A little bit of water on there. Try to keep the fire as small as possible. We are inside. Off the water on the plate, and you're left with just a flame on the stove. And you can see we have our little flames on the outside and the flame on the inside. This is where our penny comes in, because the penny seals those holes in the middle, and it's going to cause a pressure, not allowing any of the heat or gases to escape from that hole. Because right on the middle, it should kind of slide on its own. A little bit of alcohol is going to burn off there, but then that pressure is going to force all the gases and the alcohol to come out the holes here. And you can see it fairly well now, but let's go ahead and turn the lights off. You can see now here, our flame's a bit bigger than it should be, because it is kind of the size and it's actually running down. So I overfilled it a bit. On the video you'll see some flames coming out a little bit on the bottom too. It isn't perfectly sealed. That is when some people would use that caulk down their bottom to hold that in, because to make sure it's sealed too, so no more alcohol can alcohol can only come out the holes on top. But it isn't exactly perfectly needed. And see here, we got this pan here that's sitting on here, and it's getting really hot, so it can cook very well. Okay, this is the final effect we are going for. Once the can is primed, you have fire going all the way around it. It'll all burn off until you're left with only fire coming out of the holes. And what is going on is the whole can has to be heated up, causing the alcohol and fuel inside to evaporate quickly, which as the gases escape through the vent holes around the side, those will catch on fire. And the penny in the middle keeps it from escaping the middle, creating an even bigger flame. This helps regulate the flame to the smaller size. And you can see some spots the flame is higher on the others, one side than the other. That's where the holes are a bit more closely put together, but not necessarily. So you can put the pan here, maybe want to prop it up a little bit above it, but the pan can easily hold the fire. And you can even, you can sit on top of there, but if the can were to wobble, smoke will spill out, and it can that's something to avoid when you're camping. And the pan can be hard to balance on this. So this can be used to boil water and cook food. And you get those sputtering puffs like that. And that's just a spot where more gas escaped than before. And see, from having a pan on there, some of the holes got blocked off a bit, and some fuel had to escape around the bottom. And so you can see a bit more flames coming around the bottom. And those will burn off, and it'll go back to burning just on these. That is why I usually recommend having some here. Now, to put these out, it can burn for quite a bit if you want to wait for the fuel to run out. Sometimes you can sometimes blow it out, but it doesn't always work. But good puff can usually do it. These aren't windproof, so if you're setting up camp, you may want to have a wind barrier to stop these running. And usually to light it up, you may need to prime it again, but hopefully you can. If you need to light up pretty soon after, yeah, see, you can put the hole in there, but it won't do anything. You kind of have to remove your penny, which it's still hot. Add a bit more fuel to reprime it. That's why you have some fuel sitting in the top there. Just light off. And as the can heats up slowly, yes, sometimes you need to spill a little bit down the side. Now you hear popping as each of the holes starts to force its way out. And you get a bigger flame like this at first. You kind of want to use your pan and kind of blow down some as it burns off what's on the plate. But you can see we got kind of the holes, and it's forcing its way at the top there. That's why our flame is so big. So we take our penny, slide over those our fill holes, and the only spot I can vent now is those holes on top and the unsealed holes in the bottom, and the alcohol on the plate, which is slowly burning off. But this is a really simple, easy stove to make. If you want to do something, beginning activity, this is a perfect one to do. As all burns off, again, we're left with just our nice little cook stove. So if you have a metal plate, you can do this out at a campsite really easily. And again, you can just have a pot you can set on top to boil your water with. Kind of rotate around. You can see it's fairly sturdy, fairly well balanced, and you can boil water in this fairly quickly. And that is all. That is all I have for this time. If you like the video, go ahead and you can like, comment, and share it. If you have any suggestions, you can go ahead and put them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear any ideas you'd like to see me try. And of course, as always, if you'd like to, please subscribe. We'll see you next time.